Having transmigrated into a novel centered on rebirth and revenge, I find myself in a peculiar predicament where my roommate has laid a child upon my bed. Utilizing the text modification system, I transformed the infant into an egg. Even Darwin would rise from his grave in astonishment, as the female antagonist remains entangled in the dilemma of who the true progenitor of the egg is. Late at night, in a fit of boredom, I inadvertently became the protagonist of a revenge tale. The plot is so unhinged, I don't even want to bring it up. Let me put it like this. It's on par with the whole mountain covered in bright, blooming placentas. One can easily discern that it is a product of manual composition, for it is utterly inconceivable that it could originate from AI. Although AI may lack emotional comprehension, it is certainly not devoid of intelligence. In my previous life, the narrative unfolded with the female antagonist giving birth in the dormitory and placing the child onto the protagonist's bed, falsely accusing her of motherhood, which led to the protagonist facing cyberbullying and ultimately succumbing to despair by leaping from a height. Upon my rebirth, I awaken from slumber to discover a newborn child beside me. Without hesitation, I promptly contact the authorities, confronting the lively female antagonist who arrives with the instructor. My head aches, and words fail to escape my lips. The female antagonist is remarkably formidable. Mere moments after giving birth, she springs back to life, full of vigor, and sets off to frame the heroine. Following this, she brazenly makes her way to the police station, reveling in her antics. Weakness? An absurd notion. Postpartum hemorrhage? A trifling issue. Placenta? A superficial concern, after all. How could such a formidable female villain encounter issues with childbirth? Each character is more impressive than the last, the warrior-like female antagonist, unfazed, stealthily infiltrates the police station to abduct a child mere hours after giving birth. The wealthy heroine's family allows her to confront the antagonist, yet she prefers to endure silently. The enthusiastic mentor, a wealthy young lady, shows no favoritism, yet keeps a close watch on the rather eccentric, impoverished female antagonist. The classic male second lead receives $100,000 from the heroine, yet still perceives her as poor. I endured the torturous experience of completing the entire text, even succumbing to the temptation of clicking on ads to expand the narrative. The system declared my penchant for self-inflicted suffering to be severe, and thus assigned me the role of the heroine, allowing me to navigate this chaos for amusement. The system has been considerate, granting me the authority to revise the text. When I make my entrance, the female antagonist has yet to finish giving birth, and the child has not yet been placed in my bed. However, upon my slumber, she will stealthily deposit the newly born child on my bed before hastily seeking out the mentor to catch me in the act. How absurd! Such nonsensical content would not even appear in a third grader's essay. Naturally, revisions are in order. Is it not time for some normalcy? Surely, I am here for amusement. The original text states, after Lu Ruoyan gives birth, she quietly places the child on her roommate Shin Shue's bed. I altered it to, Empress Ruoyan, after laying an egg, quietly places it on her roommate Shin Shue's bed. I shan't even comment on the names. If I were Lu Ruoyan, I would send a jolt through this group of writers, causing their bellies to swell. The plot progresses to the point where I groggily awaken from my slumber only to discover an egg beside me. Wow! A 5-kilogram egg, no less. And a life of its own. My curiosity is immediately piqued. I poke, shake, and shine a flashlight upon it. Just as I begin to explore this egg, the dormitory door is violently kicked open. Teacher, it's her. She gave birth in the dorm. I proudly present the enormous egg, brimming with excitement. Ta-da! Look what I have discovered. The teacher stammers, she. The female antagonist is rendered speechless. The power of revision, having made her forget all about her egg-laying incident. The atmosphere grows tense with silence. Teacher, you have arrived just in time. I am the first to discover the first oviparous human in history. Surely, I shall receive a substantial reward, and moreover, I have the right to name it. What shall it be called? The female antagonist's face flushes crimson. Teacher, it was Shin Shue who gave birth. Witness how devoted she is. Perhaps even Darwin's spirit is racing to the scene, while the female antagonist remains entangled in the question of who the mother truly is. At this moment, she attempts to enlist the support of the third female lead to apply pressure on me. The third female lead, a minor internet celebrity, goes live under the female antagonist's direction to substantiate the claim that I am the child's mother. I eagerly hold the egg close to her, urging, quickly, film it closely. Do not miss any moment. This is invaluable primary data. It will have irreplaceable reference value for future research. At that moment, the third female lead is so captivated by the egg that she forgets to observe the unfolding drama, fixating on her phone screen, afraid of missing any crucial footage. The mentor stutters, unable to articulate a word. Naturally, his plan to suppress the news and pin the blame on the female antagonist falls apart. Trembling, he pulls out his phone to call the police. The female antagonist, still fretting over who the mother is, immediately lunges for his phone as he dials. The original text states, the female antagonist fails to grab the phone and is pushed by someone into the wall, causing her to bleed. Yet, she is still in her dress. How can it be discerned that she is bleeding so profusely? The original pusher is not the mentor. I have forgotten who it was, but the context remains intact. I have merely made a slight revision. The female antagonist fails to grab the phone and is pushed by the mentor into the wall, laying an egg. With a thud, another 5-kilogram egg falls to the ground, landing right by the female antagonist's feet. Remarkably, the eggshell remains intact amid the commotion, drawing in the third female lead's attention, who swiftly turns her live stream towards the source of the uproar, the female antagonist, her expression one of sheer astonishment. The question of who the mother is no longer matters. All parties involved, including the bystanders, witness the female antagonist laying an egg. Before long, the police arrive. I had anticipated a swarm of mysterious scientists would follow to marvel at the miracle of the first oviparous human, yet not a single one appeared. Even the principal, upon learning of the news, prioritized silencing it to protect the school's reputation. Alas, I cannot decide whether to marvel at the potency of the narrative or to lament how these individuals seem so disinterested in progress. Officers, you must believe me. The child was indeed born of Shinshui. The clouds have parted, and the heavens have ceased to weep. The steadfast belief of a woman is undeniably enchanting. Even at this juncture, she persists in trying to place the blame of childbirth upon me. I am deeply moved and, before the officers, exclaim, with a shudder, another egg emerges. Subsequently, we, the involved parties, are escorted back to the police station, where the officers naturally require a DNA test. Regrettably, these eggs are not particularly easy to manage. While taking statements, news arrives that the first egg has hatched, yielding a baby girl, while the subsequent 2 are rotten eggs. Wasted resources. The plot is forcibly redirected to its original trajectory. Fine. I shall refrain from further revisions. Those devoid of logic and common sense do not merit contributions to the scientific community. The female antagonist, now panicked, continues to assert that I am the child's mother, but hurriedly flees after completing her statement. The next development in the narrative should involve the female antagonist sneaking into the police station to steal the child. What else can I do but admire my own cleverness? The female antagonist first circles the police station, scanning for anyone before brazenly entering. My revision reads, the female antagonist first circles the police station, scanning for anyone before boldly launching her assault. Indeed, a woman who can spring back to life so effortlessly post-birth is truly formidable. Not even a dozen officers can subdue the full-force female antagonist. She breaks through with sheer determination, effortlessly whisking the child away. I had intended for her to enjoy a 15-day stay in a detention cell. Yet I was utterly unprepared for the strength of the plot. The most astonishing aspect is that even after the child goes missing, no one seems to care to search for it. It is as if nothing has happened. With such irrefutable evidence, the female antagonist still attempts to pin the blame on me. She first declares that the child shares no blood relation with her, arguing there is no DNA report, then claims her soft heart compels her to help her roommate, that would be me, of course, raise the child, and even offers to sacrifice herself to nurse it. To think she would go so far as to nurse the child, yet no one questions it. Instead, they come to harass me online. I am nearly driven to madness by this absurd narrative. I truly wish for the system to transport these intellectually challenged commentators back to the apocalyptic scenario of my previous story, where they can be devoured by zombies. Aside from the majority who mercilessly berate me, a handful of discerning netizens do express skepticism regarding the female antagonist. Alas, system, I was wrong. Please allow me to return. I vow never to engage with such drivel again. I cannot endure it any longer. This is pure degradation. Before the plot concludes, you wish to leave? Not a chance. How can you, with your 92 CPU, utter such cold words? Are you secretly cooling me off? I wish to rewrite the narrative, overturning the established plot. The governing authority restricts my permissions, allowing me only a modicum of maneuverability during pivotal moments. They assert that two drastic alterations would diminish the immersive experience. For the first time, I find myself at a loss due to my inadequate knowledge of sea language. Indeed, one realizes the scarcity of learning only when the need arises. As the story progresses, I, as the protagonist, continue to endure in silence. Public opinion is sharply divided, sparking a lively debate. My advisor frequently seeks me out, discussing matters of research opportunities and scholarships, all with the singular aim of compelling me to shoulder the burden of the dormitory scandal. As a daughter of impoverished rural parents with substantial livestock, I resolve to maintain my composure. The antagonist, in a bid to solidify her standing in public discourse, plots a devastating blow against me. She ascends to the rooftop, and my boyfriend insists on dragging me along to rescue her. It is widely acknowledged that the secondary male character is a scoundrel. I lavishly purchase high-end items for him, spending without hesitation. Ensuring his watch is a coveted green submariner, and his clothing bespoke and devoid of logos. I have squandered nearly $1 million, yet he perceives me as beneath him. Captivated instead by the antagonist's carefully crafted persona of a wealthy beauty, I have repeatedly stated that the child is not mine. Must I truly leap from this ledge to vindicate myself? The antagonist employs her sincerest tactics, and the public begins to succumb to her narrative. In truth, it need not be so convoluted. A simple explanation of the source of her breast milk would suffice as proof. Alas, it seems the inhabitants of this world either cannot comprehend or refuse to heed my words. The antagonist's strategy of retreating to advance, coupled with her life-threatening ultimatum, proves remarkably effective, as doubts begin to swirl around me. The scoundrel attempts to persuade me, saying, "Shin Shui, if you merely admit that the child is yours, I might begrudgingly continue as your boyfriend, accepting your gifts. After all, who else would want you now that you've borne a child?" Subsequently, a plethora of vacuous platitudes ensues. Lamenting the plight of the antagonist, a delicate beauty besieged by online harassment, and extolling her noble sacrifice in raising a friend's child, suggesting I should feel grateful and perhaps contribute some funds for milk. Then comes my counteroffensive. The protagonist decides to feign madness, dragging the antagonist, who pretends to jump, into a real leap from the rooftop. The rationale being that firefighters have already laid out a cushion below. She clearly holds her own life in little regard, neglecting to consider the jump's posture, point of impact, trajectory, aerodynamic resistance, or unforeseen variables. As long as there is a cushion, she believes she will remain unscathed. I steadily follow the plot's progression, pulling the antagonist to the rooftop's edge, and, under the threat of death, compel her to reveal the truth about the child born in the dormitory. Then, shall we leap together? I distinctly recall that the truth had already been unveiled. What purpose does this jump serve? Amusement? I would never place myself in such perilous circumstances. Instead of leaping, I take the antagonist on a flying sword ride. I have long wished to try this. Previously, in the realm of cultivation, the governing authority had whimsically granted me powers, from tower defense to card games. Yet I had never experienced flying on a sword. Now my dream is fulfilled, regrettably, as I take to the skies. The focus of those around me shifts to finally uncovering the identity of the child's mother. The antagonist is dissuaded, and my roommates lose their research opportunities. Meanwhile, I, a celestial being soaring through the narrative, find myself with a fractured arm and confined to a hospital bed. Then, the antagonist arrives at the hospital, accompanied by the scoundrel, flaunting their presence. At least they possess a modicum of social awareness. Upon their arrival, they present me with a carton of milk, a gesture indicative of life experience. However, I express my dissatisfaction with this gift, having preemptively exchanged it. Rewrite. That day, the antagonist and the scoundrel arrive at the hospital with a cow in tow. The scoundrel casually sets the cow beside my hospital bed, shocking everyone in the facility. Yet, this is of little importance. The curious nurses and neighboring patients are more engrossed in the antagonist's claims that I was unfaithful first, leading to my boyfriend's subsequent betrayal. Well, the reasoning is somewhat sound. She seems intent on salvaging her reputation. Not only do they arrive to gloat But they also demand reimbursement for the expenses incurred during my relationship with the scoundrel. Indeed, yet another classic scenario. The bill he presents includes even the shared cost of spicy hot pot, totaling 328 yuan and 60 cents. In response, I produce invoices amounting to over 1 million, all for gifts I bestowed upon him. The two continue to display their affection within the confines of the hospital room, with the scoundrel feeding the hypoglycemic antagonist a piece of chocolate. I genuinely wish to caution her that such treats are ill-advised during lactation, but upon reflection, I decide against it. Those I warn may not heed my advice, so I shall simply rewrite that part. The scoundrel feeds the antagonist a piece of excrement. He even wipes away the remnants from her lips. I find myself perplexed. Should it not be residue? How did it become remnants? The antagonist's carefully constructed persona crumbles, while the scoundrel persistently crumbles excrement into small pieces, feeding them to her. It nearly induces nausea in both me and the patient in the adjacent bed. Ultimately, the cow and the antagonist are expelled from the hospital by security, granting me a tranquil environment to recuperate. Compared to the dull pain in my arm, I am far more concerned about the unfolding plot, which promises to be explosive. Setting aside the antagonist's struggles for survival amid adversity, the narrative even veers into absurd territory with pseudo-orthopedics. This necessitates a mention of the antagonist's background. She is an orphan, adopted by a mother and son. When the antagonist reached high school, her adoptive mother sought to sell her for a bride price. In response, she ensnared her older brother, compelling him to toil in a factory to support her education. To illustrate the adage that even the most pitiful individuals possess despicable traits, I uncovered various instances of the antagonist's oppression within her original family, including mistreatment by her obsessive brother. One must ascertain one's humanity before embarking on such narratives. After all, we have all undergone 9 years of compulsory education. I have an idea, governing authority. I know what you're planning. I've already assisted you. It seems I have yet to articulate my thoughts. It's simply about dragging the original author in to impose upon the antagonist. She was present during the egg-laying. If she is aware of the plot, why must she adhere to it? Because this is her vision of a flawless work, unparalleled in its bizarre intricacies and explosive narrative. Thus, any key plot points must not be omitted. Even the slightest deviation threatens to tarnish her most perfect artistic creation. I had suspected as much. Here I am, revising the text, while some enigmatic entity incessantly corrects me, and under normal circumstances, the narrative should have collapsed during the egg-laying scene, yet it has managed to progress to this juncture, and I find myself in awe of the antagonist. As for the subsequent plot, I can scarcely recall. The antagonist enlists a few thugs to humiliate the protagonist, broadcasting videos at her engagement banquet to ruin her reputation. Is it not absurd that any rational individual would choose to play such a video at their own engagement banquet? This act is ostensibly intended to prove that I was unfaithful first, thereby justifying her and the scoundrel's child as not being the result of infidelity. Just as I leave the hospital, the antagonist summons me to a cafe, asserting her desire to confront me. Make a statement online declaring that the child born in the dormitory is yours, and I may consider returning the scoundrel to you.
No.
Dear sister, how can you still be fixated on this matter? I am quite astonished. This is your final opportunity. Do not overstep your bounds. She is quite audacious. I observe that indeed, a few thugs linger outside. Do not inquire how I know they are thugs. It seems that if I express any dissent, those thugs will directly storm in to wreak havoc. I kindly reminded her that during the nursing period, one ought to abstain from coffee. My mother, lacking in common sense, should cease to endanger the child's well-being. She was incensed, letting out a huff, and as she exited, cast a disdainful glance at the group of ruffians. Subsequently, those unruly youths sauntered in, encircling me. To my astonishment, they possessed a signal jamming device, rendering my phone utterly useless. Gentlemen, we are in a cafe, or rather, within a shopping mall. Must you not differentiate the appropriateness of your actions? Even the FBI would hesitate to indulge in such reckless abandon. How about adhering to the fundamental societal norms? The thugs remained silent, their hands creeping toward their waistbands. I inhaled deeply, reminding myself of the basic protocol. Never underestimate them. The original protagonist managed to resolve matters through financial means, yet I was disinclined to scan any codes and decided to alter the approach. Shun Shui produced 100. 000 yuan in cash. I truly marvel at how my minuscule handbag could possibly accommodate such an amount. Revised text. Shen Shui retrieved several silver bracelets, donning them herself. I made my way to the duty hall downstairs, willingly confessing, "Your transgressions are not severe. A fine and a few days' confinement should suffice for your release." Then, astonishingly, the female antagonist did not even inquire about the video, confidently assuming it would be showcased at the engagement ceremony. The crux of the matter is, I remain oblivious to the means by which I procured the scandalous footage of her and others, only to find it embedded within the engagement ceremony's VCR. The original text offered no clarification. I, too, was left in the dark, rendering the situation rather enigmatic. Having dealt with the thugs, the plot advanced rapidly. The engagement ceremony erupted into a spectacle. Once that phase concluded, it was destined to reach its culmination. As a roommate, I received an invitation to the engagement banquet of the female antagonist and her nefarious partner. The female antagonist deceived her partner into believing she was a wealthy heiress, her parents purportedly owning a grand hotel, while the individuals impersonating her parents were merely actors. The atmosphere at the engagement was peculiar. The couple refrained from exchanging vows, confessions, or kisses, instead incessantly explaining the relationship between the scoundrel and my character, the former girlfriend. Naturally, the female antagonist made it a point to clarify the circumstances surrounding the incident in the dormitory. Friends and family soon discerned my true nature through their narratives, casting scornful glances my way. Now, the pivotal moment arrived. The female antagonist, seeking to substantiate her claims, proposed to screen a video of my tumultuous romantic entanglements. The audience, possessed by an inexplicable fervor, clamored to witness it live. Then, to my astonishment, the female antagonist appeared on the large screen. Calculating the footage, if we estimate each segment to last a minute, with dozens of individuals involved, the total duration amounted to several minutes. The female antagonist ambled about the stage for an extensive period, struggling to locate the projector's switch, much to the audience's delight. Finally, the video concluded, and the scoundrel realized the extent of his folly, leading to a violent confrontation. The engagement cake was transformed into a staple food. They smeared it on each other's faces, hurling it at one another, filling the banquet hall with an atmosphere that was far from joyous, reeking of disdain. But wait. The key figures were about to make their entrance. Observe closely. How could this engagement proceed without the presence of these two elderly figures? Indeed, it was not the female antagonist's mother who arrived. To prevent her from being exposed, I had summoned her great-grandparents. Those two fragile skeletons approached, grasping the female antagonist's hands, showering her with blessings. The female antagonist gritted her teeth, determined to maintain the narrative. I arranged for her great-grandparents to take the prime seats, then invited her great-grandfather and great-grandmother as well. The table of elder relatives was filled with frail figures. To everyone's astonishment, they even raised their cups in toasts. The story could no longer be prolonged, as two crucial characters arrived fashionably late: the female antagonist's adoptive mother and foster brother. The scoundrel finally recognized the female antagonist's true identity, having pursued a seemingly affluent beauty only to discover she was, in fact, impoverished. He immediately sought to reconcile with me, but I recoiled at his foul odor, urging him to distance himself. In this tense and thrilling confrontation, the foster brother revealed the truth to the scoundrel. The child bore a birthmark on the nape of their neck, identical to that of the foster brother. Do not question it. In their worldview, nothing is beyond the realm of heredity, merely a birthmark. I had grown weary of revising the narrative. Given this worldview, the female antagonist's fate was already sufficiently cruel. Further alterations would only render me indistinguishable from those with diminished intellect. The tale concluded with grandiosity. The puppet master finally experienced a moment of conscience, bringing this tedious and repugnant endeavor to a close. Must we endure such nonsense in the world? Not only do they corrupt the youth, but adults also partake in this folly. What a disgrace. I am powerless to change this. Next time, orchestrate a grander task. I shall compile a list for you to ensnare these sources and deal with them accordingly. There are indeed countless examples. Among the ones I know of, there are pseudo-incestuous relationships, male-on-male dynamics, imposters masquerading as heiresses in dormitories, ill-fated male protagonists surnamed Fu, the Emperor Lu Ruyan, fiery reconciliations, pregnancies, compelling flight, and prodigious wild children. It is overwhelming. I can hardly keep pace. I shall return to the peculiar realm, where the entities are genuine specters, not mere charades. The moral fabric of society is unraveling, and human hearts are treacherous. The end of the narrative. Thank you for listening, and until our next tale, farewell.